Yes guys, and welcome from me, Championship Manager 0102. It's the first chance I've had to do a video, so I'm going to make this really quick, because I've been wanting to do this. I did the research on this way before, so I did this tactic test, right, and I put it into a little table. Now I tested, right, I kid you not, 9 tactics. 9 tactics I tested, and I tested them with the update, and I holidayed for a year as Arsenal. So, just to be brief, it's 9 different tactics, and our representatives, these guys don't even know it, so welcome. Mark Whitaker, you took part. Farm from YouTube, you took part. Miga Dante, you took part. Icho, you took part. Matt Collier-Brown, you took part. I trialled 2 tactics of my own, named by Kill Machine and also my Boom. And I also tested 2 tactics by the great, the legendary Jeffrey from Holland. And I did his Expiremento, it's called. I'll show you it in a second. And I did the most famous tactic in the whole of Holland, Fibonacci, my ball. That Fibonacci. So, 9 tactics. Now, I'm going to show you them each, right? And then I'm going to tell you how they each did. Okay? So, without further ado, let's go. Who should we start with? Let's start with, we'll go from the top list, Mark Whitaker. So Mark Whitaker, where is he, Mark Whitaker? Right, Mark Whitaker. Now you may remember this from when we did the stream, of course. This is why I've tested them from the stream. So, although you guys didn't know I was doing this, a big thank you to you all. Now, the thing is, right, I did no buying or selling for Arsenal. And if I show you, you know, this is the setup that I've used. So, from Mark Whitaker's tactic perspective, it's going to be very difficult to succeed because I think with that, and I quite like the tactic in all honesty, but you're going to have to buy specifics, you know, and obviously Arsenal don't start with that. And I'm saying that for a specific reason because, unfortunately, Mark Whitaker did not conclude the season. He was dismissed after 37 Premiership games. He compiled 18 wins, 8 draws, 11 defeats, 62 points. He was sacked before the last game of the season. He reached Phase 2 of the Champions League, the FA Cup 5th round, but he did get runners-up in the League Cup. Now, despite that sacking, I want you guys to determine if you feel Mark came 9th out the tactics, because I'm going to go through the rest in a moment. I've not put any point system to it. I've decided not to. In my opinion, and it is an opinion, Mark is not last, in my opinion. Nobody else was sacked. So he does win an award for being the sack race. Next up then, we are now going to go to Farm. We'll go to Farm next. And this was Farm's tactic. Very sort of defensive setup. Again, I like it. I like that defensive enforcer, so to speak. Farm, he concluded the season 38 wins. 38 wins, 38 games, 21 wins, 9 draws, 78 defeats, 72 points. So only 10 points more than what Mark got. 5th place finishing. Quarter-final of the Champions League. 5th round of the FA Cup. Semi-final of the League Cup. Did Farm beat Mark Whitaker? I'll let you guys decide. Over to the next one now. Miga Dante. Miga Dante. Let's just see where he is. There he is, Miga Dante. I'm not a massive fan of off-central tactics, personally. I think Mark Rutgers once sent me a tactic, and it's basically that. Anyway, so Miga Dante, he concluded the season, 38 games, 15 wins, 10 draws, 13 defeats. You've probably worked it out. It was a disgusting 55 points where he finished 9th in the table. So, in my opinion, I would rate Miga Dante lower than Mark Whitaker. Maybe you might want to balance things out that Mark got the sack, so who knows. Quarter-final of the Champions League, 4th round of the FA Cup, quarter-final of the League Cup for Miga Dante. Over to Icho. Icho, of course, there was a lot of banter between Icho and Farm, and I felt that this tactic was going to be interesting to determine who does better. They both had the same. I mean, again, you know, you can't put really too much of a reflection because, as I said about Mark Whitaker's tactic, if you could purchase the players to suit it, it would be a totally different outcome, I believe. Icho, 38 games, 17 victories, 11 draws, 10 defeats, 62 points, finishing 8th in the Premier League. Phase 2 of the Champions League, quarter-final of the FA Cup, runners-up in the League Cup. So, well done to Icho. Over to Matt Collier-Brown. Matt Collier-Brown, this is a tactic he's used all his life in terms of playing online and me. Very straightforward, narrow setup. Matt, 38 games, 22 victories, 9 draws, 7 defeats, and a staggering 75 points. Finishing 4th in the Premier League. Phase 2 in the Champions League. Semi-final of the FA Cup. 3rd round of the League Cup. So, again, you know, make your decision what you feel. Let's go to my first tactic then. This is my very common tactic with my, my Peterborough solo game. The Kill Machine. The Kill Machine. What you see is what you get. And we finished 38 games, 21 victories, 12 draws, 5 defeats, also 75 points, but 3rd place in the table. So it really depends really on the holiday year. So there's no here or there from me and Matt's perspective. Both finishing on identical points. I got Phase 2 Champions League, so matched that with Matt. 5th round of the FA Cup, so a couple of steps lower than Matt. Quarter-final of the League Cup. So a very, very sort of tight affair between me and Matt there. And that adds to the rivalry that me and Matt have had, it would be fair to say. Jeffrey, let's go to Jeffrey, or Ray as some people may know him as. Let's go to his Expiremento. This is one of his most recent tactics that he's released on the forums. Very similar to Farm's tactic with that defence enforcer perspective. And this surprisingly did really well in my opinion. 38 games, 26 wins, 10 draws, only 2 defeats, 88 points, 3rd in the Premier League, quarter-finals of the Champions League, 4th in the FA Cup, 4th in the League Cup. So a superb season, it really was. Let's go over to my second tactic now, which was one of my original tactics, my boom tactic. It's very, very similar to the last tactic we're going to test. This is my own customised, customised tactic of a boom, a 4-1-3-1-1. You'll see the similarities in a moment, but this 38 games, 28 victories, 3 draws, 7 defeats, 87 points. So the Expiremento beat me by 1 point. Finished 3rd in the league again. Phase 2 of the Champions League, semi-final of the FA Cup, 4th round of the League Cup. And finally, the famous, and this is one of the most talked about tactics on the forums. Some positive, some negative. This is the Fibonacci, or as some people call it, Fibonacci my balls. And it's virtually the same as my own. I mean, if you look at the differences between my boom, it's virtually the same. There will be a lot of changes with regards to individual tactics to my specifications. But the Fibonacci then is Ray's tactic. 38 games, 23 victories, 6 draws, 9 defeats, 75 points. 4th in the table, semi-final in the Champions League, the best outcome in the Champions League by everybody. Runners-up in the FA Cup, which was also the best out of everybody. 4th round of the League Cup. But it just shows, don't it, 75 points. And yet it's a very similar tactic to my own. So do individuals have a massive effect? Who knows? It could have just been that the AI played different on that test run. So, I'll let you guys decide who deserves the winning tactic. And I mean, I've got my theory, what I think deserves it. And I think, in my opinion, I'm going to go with the Expiremento. I think it got the most points at a quarter-final in the Champions League. I'd say really probably should have done better in the domestic cups. I'm not even saying 100% because I feel that my boom deserves a bit of credit. Maybe 87 points, 3rd in the league again, semi-final of the FA Cup, but should have done better in the Champions League. No doubt about that. I feel that Matt did well with a 4th place finish, semi-final of the FA Cup. But let's have another look. Let's not take Mark Whitaker out of the equation here. Phase 2 of the Champions League, 5th round of the FA Cup. runners-up in the League Cup. You guys decide. Let me know in the comments. Until next time from me, guys, it's take it easy.